Now, you'd all know about the crime crisis up in Queensland. We've covered it extensively here on Sky, and Paul even went up to do an episode on the ground earlier this year, talking to people who've had their houses broken into multiple times and people living in fear because nothing is being done about rampant youth crime. It is so bad that residents are hiring their own private security patrols now to protect their homes and their neighbours' homes because the coppers and the Palaszczuk government have done 4/5 of bugger all. They're having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in some cases for these nightly patrols, and you'd think the police commissioner in Queensland, Katarina Carroll, would look at this and go, well, gee, maybe if people are taking crime prevention into their own hands to this degree, then maybe we need to step up our game. But she's quoted in the Sunday Mail today endorsing it. She said, quote, "The concept has merit as a lawful means to increase personal and property security, as is employed by many gated communities with full-time private security patrols." Now, what she said isn't wrong, but you'd think she'd also say, look, I'm very sorry people don't feel they can trust us to keep on top of crime. We'll do better. But there was nothing like that. Unlawful entries in Brisbane went from 9,906 between June 1, 2021 and June 1, 2022 to 12,712 between June last year and this year. That is a 28.3% increase. And that's just in the last year. I mean, we know what Queensland has been going through. They've had big problems with youth crime for years. As long as I've been working for Sky, we've been talking about this. And it's not just happening in Queensland, it's in Melbourne too. Some housing estates in Melbourne's outer suburbs are spending $170,000 a year for 24-hour security patrols because houses keep getting broken into, cars keep being stolen, and clearly the cops haven't been able to stop it. Car thefts are up 18% in Victoria. And it's not just lower socioeconomic areas suffering from this, it's your high-end Melbourne suburbs too, your Turaks, Brightons, Kews. The number of kiddie crims committing aggravated burglaries in suburbs like Kew, Toorak, Balwyn, Camberwell, Canterbury, Glen Iris and Hawthorn, they rose from 83 in 2017 to 209 last year. One security manager told the Herald Sun that houses are unfortunately broken into, and it appears even in broad daylight. The break-ins in those areas, he said, are mainly targeting luxury cars and jewellery. So kids are travelling across town to target richer suburbs because obviously the spoils are better. And you have the Adelaide CBD, where assaults in the CBD, leaving a victim seriously injured, are at a 12-year high, as are property damage crimes, thefts and from shops and cars, and stealing the vehicles themselves. Overall crime across the Adelaide CBD has risen 10.5% between 2011 and 2022, but this is what the SA Police Commissioner Grant Stevens had to say about it.
I think the general reader would look at them and go, well, however you look at it, crime has gone up.
Well, I suppose that's a consequence of the environment we're talking about. And I'd have to say 350-odd assaults a year, when you think about the fact that the majority of those are going to be happening on a Friday, Saturday night when we have the highest level of patronage in the CBD, that would equate to maybe 3 assaults on a Friday and 3 assaults on a Saturday night. Can anyone say they're honestly surprised by that when you look at the level of intoxication we see amongst young people, the presence of illicit drugs, the behaviour of patrons in that area? I'm not sure what people expect. It's not the job of the police to intervene and prevent that behaviour from occurring. Ours is to respond when it does.
Oh, OK. It's not your job to prevent crime? What? Under state law, it is your job to prevent crime. Serious assaults go from 74 in 2016 to 352 in 2022, and the police commissioner says, oh, what do you expect? And as I wrote in The Advertiser a few weeks ago, SAPOL's motto is safer communities, not just waiting for a crime, for a reason. And then you had Acting Police Commissioner Linda Williams last month. She tried to claim a CBD crime wave in Adelaide was just a perception. I mean, no wonder people are having to hire their own security patrols. They're doing it because state governments and police forces have failed to get on top of rising crime. The police ministers of Australia need to pull their fingers out of their asses and do something. We already pay tax to fund police forces to prevent crime. Everyday Aussies shouldn't have to fork out again to hire their own patrols because the state-funded one can't do the job. But maybe we shouldn't be surprised that the coppers can't get on top of this stuff, because even when they do try to prosecute some of these little grubs, the courts give them leniency. You may have seen the charming 19-year-old Mia Miller, who walked into a Macca's store in Adelaide while on drugs and attacked the staff, punching and spitting on them. Here she is. What an absolute low-life brat. Now, South Australia introduced laws last year that mean people who assault retail workers can face the same penalties as those who attack coppers or paramedics, which is a maximum 5 years in jail for basic assault and 7 years for assault causing harm. And fair enough, no one who goes to work in their minimum wage job should have to worry that some numbskull is going to punch them or spit on them. So with these penalties available, and this being the first case tried under these new laws, what do you reckon the lovely Ms Miller got? An 18-month good behaviour bond and 75 hours of community service. I mean, what even is the point of having these harsher laws if they won't be imposed? The magistrate surmised that she'd been punished enough through media coverage and that she would be forever known as the Macca's spitter. He said, quote, "That is a heavy burden for a young person to bear." I'm sure it is. But if you can go and do that and not even get a token month in the clink, then no wonder young offenders feel like they can do anything.